Imagine you find yourself suddenly the centre of attention. There you are in the middle of something so big it's breathtaking.
Come on, rock me. Away from the sun.
Either accidentally or by design, you find yourself thrust into the limelight.
I'm sorry, I'm getting all emotional. I'm just so happy.
It could be by choice or even by tragic circumstance.
There's been serious loss of life, but exact details are not yet available.
What effect would that have on the rest of your life? Well, tonight we answer that question in Whatever Happened To. Good evening and welcome to Whatever Happened To. Another story of instant fame that changed a life forever.
Now, come on, rock me.
He was a vision. He was so handsome.
Now, if you think our kids these days are fanatical about music and the music they like is bizarre and unpleasant and so forth, and you can't relate to it at all, perhaps you've forgotten how absolutely balmy we were at their age as well. If there's one sound, of course, that shouts superstar, it is this sound. When the Beatles hit New Zealand in 1964, we'd never seen anything like it, and the country's teen population were whipped into a frenzy. And plenty of parents hoped they'd never see it again.
Thank you, on behalf of all of us.
But nearly a generation later, that familiar sound returned. In 1976, the Bay City Rollers hit town and nearly caused a riot.
For some, the sight of the Rollers in the flesh was the fulfillment of a dream.
But, of course, this time we were ready for it because 2 years earlier we had seen a pop phenomenon, a face that graced almost every teenage girl's bedroom wall in the world, and everybody wanted a piece of him. We knew him as Keith Partridge, lead singer of the massive television phenomenon, The Partridge Family.
Come on now and meet everybody.
Truly part of the Canadian wilderness, this land abounds in otter, beaver, deer, and moose.
The nice fluffy hairdos, the flared pants and the polyester outfits epitomised the early 70s, and the fatherless family of 6 sold 4 million copies of their biggest hit.
I think I love you.
The family never toured because, in reality, only lead singer David Cassidy and his real-life stepmother Shirley Jones played their own music.
And so I just decided to myself, I'd hide it to myself.
But the end of the television series, after 96 episodes and 10 albums, was just the beginning for Keith Partridge.
I think I love you.
The world was in love with David Cassidy, teen idol, and when he toured here in 1974, well, we could not get enough of him.
Now, come on, rock me.
He was a vision. He was so handsome. I was obsessed with him.
He had the most beautiful face, but also he could sing, and all the girls were just mad on him at school. Just fell in love with him. David
Cassidy was the biggest thing since the Beatles. He'd broken stadium attendance records all around the world, records which still stand. And in 1974, after a long wait for the fans, he toured here, and the fans went bonkers. They went off. Well, tonight we welcome 3 women, they were girls at the time, and they were at the concert in the Auckland Town Hall 33 years ago. David Cassidy's most fanatical followers who love him to this day. We have Gail from Dunedin, we have Leslie from Whakatane, and we have Vanessa from Milford in Auckland. When did you, first fall in love with him, do you think, Vanessa?
When I was 13.
Eh?
13 years old.
And how did you first see him? What was your first sight of him?
On The Partridge Family.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he was beautiful.
Yes, yes.
He was lovely.
He was, though, wasn't he?
He was.
No, he had everything going for him. What about you, Leslie? When did you first fall in love?
I remember seeing a group of girls at school who were gathered around something that they were giggling and carrying on about. And it happened to be one of those teen magazines. I think it was 16 or Tiger Beat or something like that. And I just, you know, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And I just looked over their shoulders and there was this... such a lovely, divine-looking young man.
That's
He was
right.
boy, yes,
That's right.
at that stage, and I just wanted him from that very moment, and that was it.
Yes.
So anyway, he's about to come, and you know you're going to get your tickets for the big show, and it's amazing.
Yep.
David Cassidy's coming to Auckland. And now, Gail, you're in Dunedin. So anyway, you decided you'd make your way.
Didn't have enough money to pay for a full airfare, so I had to steal my sister's identity and get a half fare on the plane.
So you got to Auckland, so you got on a child's fare.
I got a child's fare.
To economise.
Yes, and...
you stayed, did your parents, and they let you go?
They couldn't have stopped me.
Wow. And Ben, nevertheless, the Sunday News got hold of you, didn't they?
A reporter turned up at my door and said, would you like to meet David Cassidy? And I said, yes.
Imagine that, a reporter turns up at the door and says, would you like to meet David Cassidy?
And so they had arranged for me to meet him at the Mangere Hotel.
Yeah, now, to me, where the story gets a little bit odd, you meet David Cassidy, the star of the world at the time, at the Mangere Bridge Hotel. But, no, well, I'm sure it was very nice. Anyway, and the Sunday News were there. Here's the picture of you kissing, hugging David Cassidy. Gail's dream came true. Look at that, Gail, front of the Sunday News. Well, I wonder if David remembers that. Because he was staying at the Intercontinental. You two were brazen, weren't you? You both went and sat outside the Intercontinental.
I rang up
We all
to
did.
see if I could talk to him.
You rang up, see if you could talk to him?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Well, I said, sorry, you can't talk to him, but I still kept on trying.
Yeah, good. You got
I didn't give up.
And, of course, one of the conditions of Leslie being able to come was baby's sister had to be able to come too.
You know,
Pathetic.
yeah, absolutely.
Pathetic. And she didn't even care about him.
No, she didn't even like him. No. And so she just, wherever I was going, she wanted to go. Didn't matter what it was.
So the concert happens. You go to the concert. Then what happens, Leslie?
My sister decides that she's going to go to the front of the stage, and I'm thinking, if I lose my sister, my mother's going to kill me. So I had to follow her, and I'm following her, and I'm saying, Adina, you can't. And
Adina, your sister's called Adina. Yes, funny name, funny name.
Yes, funny girl. And so and she went to the front, and I went to grab her and say, no, you can't. And as I did that, she put her hand up too, and he touched her hand and not mine.
And what's more, later on, she taunted you with this.
Oh, absolutely.
This became a very big thing between you two.
Yes.
And what about you, Vanessa? You got to the front of the stage too, didn't you?
He actually did. He touched my finger, yep.
Which one?
This one here. This one.
And please note, we look at the left forefinger.
Yep.
And so what did you do with that finger?
I plastered it up for a whole week when I was at high school. Nobody was allowed to touch that finger. That was where David Cassidy touched me.
Did you wash it at all?
No.
Did you kiss it?
Oh, God. I wish I had kissed him.
And what's all this junk you got? You got a whole lot of junk with you. You got stuff and scrapbooks and stuff. And
Excuse me.
You know, I'm sorry.
This is our lives.
Yes. Tell me, did you, like your bedrooms, were they just full of David?
Full of his posters everywhere.
Not a scrap of wallpaper showing. It was
Did
just...
you kiss those? Did you ever kiss those pictures? Yep.
I couldn't possibly comment.
No, it's all right. I used to kiss a picture of Elizabeth Taylor. Not often. And not deep. How many children you got, Vanessa?
I've got 8.
What?
8 children.
Yeah, big round of applause. And do any of them look like, have you called any of them David? Do any of them look like David?
No.
That would be sacrilege, really. Yeah. They're just some things that you don't touch, that you leave where they belong.
Yeah. And what's he doing recently, though? Do you know? I mean, is he...
He's still doing concerts.
Heaps of concerts and stuff?
He's touring next
coming
year
again
as well.
Next year to Australia.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, David Cassidy is here. Would you please welcome David Cassidy? We'll be back shortly with David Cassidy's side of the story. Do not go away. David Cassidy has returned to New Zealand after 33 years.
Anyway, it's great to be here in your country again. It's been a few years.
Can you believe this?
There we go. Done that.
Can you believe
I
this?
was 14.
Yeah.
14.
Were you? I was 12.
Oh,
It was great.
my goodness.
Can you believe the loyalty? Can you believe the love they have? You look at the looks on
No.
these people's faces.
Oh,
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. It's absolutely.
he was so
I can't.
lovely.
I was.
You
yeah.
were still
The loyalty and the, I feel quite unworthy of it, but I must tell you, I feel very blessed to have at least had that kind of impact that you would still hang on to all of that, and it means a lot. Honestly, it means an awful lot to me.
So you start the year Nobody, 1970, and by the end of the year, he's the #1 heartthrob in the United States of America on television, and you've got a #1 record. Amazing.
Yeah, a #1 album, a #1 single, the record of the year, and the chaos began. And for me, it was internally very difficult because I wanted to be an actor. I had been working seriously at it for a couple of years, and I land this pilot, and it sells. And literally the day after it went on the air, there were 100 kids out in front of the studio where we shot it.
It was the beginning of, what, 4 or 5, 6 years of hysterical living for you because you're doing the television program during the week, learning the lines. Let's have a look at you on that Australian tour. This is when things go mad. This is when they described you as a public menace who ought to be kicked out of Australia.
Yes, they did. This was the Melbourne Cricket Grounds.
Where you hold the record for attendance, we understand?
Still to this day, 73,000 people. It was quite a remarkable tour. It was the beginning of 9 months of touring, playing stadiums all over the world. And this country, I got to spend 3 or 4 days here, which was unheard of in America. I would go from the television studio to an airplane to the shows and fly back. I'd never have a time to spend any quality time. And this country was just, to me, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
While everyone's talking about being in love with David Cassidy, I must say I was in love with someone very close to you, Susan Day. Look, we've got Susan. Look, here's Susan.
Mom, we found the birth certificates. Oh, excuse me, I didn't know we had company.
Oh, kids, this is Mr. Burns from the booking agency. Mr. Burns, this is...
This lovely young lady must be Laurie.
How do you do? My name...
I'd recognize that voice anywhere. You're Keith, right on?
You were the... You were very nice. That was a
Yes,
very...
I used to be Keith. You know what's interesting is that the voices you hear, believe it or not, I'm a singer, I have kind of decent ear. Everywhere outside of America, they sped up, I guess, to get more, I don't know, commercial time? It's odd, but the first time I was in Britain in the 70s, when the show was all on the air, I watched it and went, my voice doesn't sound like that, does it? Oh, my God. Anyway, yeah, Susan Day was magnificently beautiful, and she was like my little sister. She became my closest confidant. I spent a lot of time talking to her about my difficulty in my life and the things that were going on with me. And my stepmother, Shirley, actually said to me, you know, Susan's in love with you. And I thought, shut up. That is absolutely, come on. She's my sister, you know. Yeah. And,
It didn't stop you, though, did it? It's wonderful to be sitting next to you. I can't believe I'm sitting next to David.
It always goes to the lowest common denominator.
Of course, your career's gone from strength to strength.
Most people in this country, of course, would not know this, but I've done 3 Broadway shows. I also have done over 2,000 shows in Las Vegas. And it's so odd for me, whatever happened to me. In terms of your country, you're absolutely right. I disappeared, and I wish I could have come back, and I'd love to come back and tour again.
It has been so good to have you here, David Cassidy. And before we go, there are several women in the audience tonight, as a matter of fact, who have, they're fairly well known themselves in this country. They've loved you forever. Come over here, David, if you would. This particular person hosted the program The Weakest Link in New Zealand. This is Louise.
The Weakest Link?
And she had a picture of you at her 40th birthday party. At her 40th birthday party. She has loved you forever.
Thank you. No, it's so lovely. Thank you. I got to tell you something that for me, because I don't live here, and I obviously, this is the first time I've been here in over 30 years. To get the kind of response that I've gotten, it's it's very moving to me, and I want to tell you something. Based on the fact that I just hugged you, would you mind if I gave you the key to my room?
I will accept it with great pleasure.
David Cassidy, ladies and gentlemen, great to have you here. And of course, Dale, Vanessa, and
Thank you. Thank you.